Peace. What's good, y'all? It's your brother God Science. I'm up in here once again. Shout out and a special salute to the few that do watch. Appreciate y'all, true indeed. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Just wanted to make a quick video on our brother Tupac. Um, and this came from a back and forth that I had, which I shouldn't be going back and forth with idiots, but you know, I don't know if, let me just say this, if you were alive at that time, we all remember, that's in September when we heard Tupac was shot. You probably knew exactly where you were, what you were doing at that exact moment. I knew where I was. And most of us was just like, damn, yeah, he gonna pull through. Because Tupac was going through so much, man, getting shot 4 times at the studio, making it through that. He just seems like invincible, and that was just our ignorance, but we're in 2025, and unfortunately that brother didn't get to live, you know what I mean? Along with Biggie Smalls, coming from Brooklyn. He came from like probably a couple blocks from where I grew up. These dudes was just getting in their prime. So we didn't even get to see where they would be if they were, polished, which they were polished, but I mean, on another level. We didn't get to see that, especially with Tupac and acting. I think he was going to be one of the Denzel Washingtons because he just had it naturally. You know what I mean? Gang Related, which is one of my favorite movies. I watched that movie and he just was a natural, man. And not all rappers can act. Tupac was a real actor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know he went for school for some of the, theater and stuff like that. But he can act. And I think he would have just been on a whole different level. The point is, you still got these people, still with the, you put up something about Biggie Smalls or make a comment of Biggie Smalls, we Team Pac. And I'm like, okay, these two brothers died over basically nothing. What did Tupac die for? Yeah, we understand what happened, right? But when you sit back and look at it, it was just a waste. And Biggie, a waste. Like, every time I watch like documentaries and I see him in LA, I just want to like break through the screen and just be like, get your ass back to Brooklyn. Like, what you doing in LA? We can't stop the past, man. We can't stop events that happen. It seems like it was meant to be. But my thing is, if these brothers had lived, and in 2025, you really think Tupac will still be on the hit 'em up, you know, East-West crap? Really? That man was only 25 years old, and let me just make sure was he 25? Don't quote me on that, but I think he was 25. He seems older because he did so much. He did more in a lifetime than some people will do in their lifetime. So it seems like he was real young. We got to remember that too. Biggie was young. And these dudes was making millions of dollars on the top of the world. But I'm saying at 25, he's making all, music. Machiavelli's one of my favorite albums. Do you hear the poetry, the realness in that? The consciousness, the thought in that. So you trying to tell me if it was 2025, he wouldn't have grew? Tupac probably would have been in the politics or something, man. I just don't think he will still be on that, rah, fuck the East Coast. And I don't think he will be on that, My hopeful thing is, I always wished that somebody around him was, and I guess you can't change the past, but I wish somebody was around him like, yo, y'all need to squash this. Imagine Biggie and Pac coming together and making an album. What about that fly shit? I mean, that's hip hop heaven. We missed out on a classic. That If they created an album like that, I mean, and seriously put thought behind it, hard production from Dre, say Dre Never Left, you know what I'm saying? Easy Mo B, you know, the Hitman, whatever, you know, D Dot and all these brothers all coming together to create a classic. Do you understand the masterpiece that we will have on hand right now? So I look at it like that. And I really think if he lived, he would have grew and saw his ways and change. There's no way in hell anyone can tell me that he will still be doing what he's doing in 1996. Not Tupac. And I don't think Biggie would either. So y'all, you know, knock it off with that. You know, I mean, I know our people is real, you know, and I won't, y'all 85%ers. I'm gonna just say that. You know, I know y'all just like drama, and you know, we always want to go against each other. If it ain't that, I see where people are doing the North and South stuff, and it's like we ain't learned nothing. We ain't learned nothing. I don't even say Southern hip hop. I say hip hop. Now, yes, there's certain music that I think is trash and shouldn't be called hip hop, but music is subjective. What I don't like, somebody else will love. My point is that, you know, these brothers would have grown, so they won't be on the same stuff, you know, that they were doing back in 1996. You know what I'm saying? And half of that stuff was, you know, you had people on their sides putting stuff in the air. You know, we know about Tupac. I wish he never even went to death row. But then at the same time, if he didn't go to death row, we wouldn't have these great albums. So it is what it is. My point is just like, you know, just, you know, think, you know, just grow the hell up. You know what I'm saying? Grow the hell up. You know, you haven't learned anything. Like, the dude is not here, and I would rather Tupac be here, you know, than him not being here. And I just don't think he won't have grown and changed his ways and probably been doing something big time, man. Probably running for president or something. Or, you know, just creating classics albums, you know what I mean? Making movies that, imagine the movies that he would have made, you know? So, like, y'all are stuck in time with that crap, you know what I'm saying? I get, you know, you got people on the West that ride, I get it, you know? I might, you know, but see, I was listening to Tupac a long time, even when he was in New York. But I get it, you know, I grew up in, I was born and raised in Brooklyn. So yeah, I might gravitate more, or I might relate more to Biggie Smalls, but that doesn't mean I don't feel Tupac, because he was in Brooklyn, he was in New York too. He is from New York. And there was an era where he was around in New York, Juice, all that time. You know what I mean? So I didn't really, you know, I wasn't that dude that was always like, I'm from New York, so I'm not gonna listen to this. You know, a lot of people even say, you know, a lot of people were hating on the South. Yes, radio wise, you know, probably record label wise, a lot of people were hating on the South from up north. Yes, New Yorkers could be very arrogant. I'm not gonna even front, but not all of us was hating. You know what I'm saying? I was on Outkast album when the first dropped. Good music is good music regardless where it's from, and it's always gonna rise. And as a producer, like, being, you know, so interested in music and how it was created, when I first heard Sunday Playlist, I saw the video, because I was always into funk, and that shit sound funky as hell. I was like, yo, who the hell is Organized Noise? I gotta find that out. So I was in New York playing Outkast's first album. It's always exceptions to the rules, man. It wasn't everybody hating. I even tell the story how my brother went to Job Corps and he brought back 3 6 Mafia. And I put my boys on to 3 6 Mafia. Nobody was playing them. Not saying I discovered them in New York. It had to be somebody playing them, but I put a lot of brothers on to Hypnotize Minds. And we were rocking with it in New York, because it was good music. It was a sound that you never heard. You know what I mean? So just saying that, man. You know, not everybody was hating, and we still not on that East-West BS like some of y'all. And, you know, if the shoes fit, y'all know who I'm talking about. But, you know, these back and forths, like, you know, we're back in 1996, knock it off, man. Because at the end of the day, we lost Tupac and we lost Big. Over what? Over what? Nothing. Coastal shit that we don't even own. As you can see, there's bigger problems here. So that's just my take and my rant today, man. You know what I mean? On rest in peace to Tupac, rest in peace to Big. And what's your opinion? Do you think if Tupac was alive right now in 2025, he will still be on the stuff that he was doing in 1995? Not that smart, brother. Impossible. I just don't believe it. But tell me what you think. Like the video if you make it this far. I really appreciate y'all. And I'll be up with some more reviews, you know what I mean? When we're doing some classic albums and same old things. Appreciate y'all. Peace. Stay safe out there.